Right. Well, welcome back, everybody. So this week, again, it's all of us with Texas Chiro Health. I'm Dr. Brian. We've got Dr. Travis and Dr. Chris. We're going to be talking about something that has been hitting a lot of us recently. I know stress has been building up, and I've had a number of patients ask me how they can try and keep that down. Well, today we're going to talk about the importance of why we need to keep that stress down and some ways that we can. I'm going to pass it off to Dr. Travis, but it really is important. So take a listen.
All right, guys, and so most of y'all know why we do this, but for the people that are not joining us for multiple causes, it's our goal to educate not just our community, but everyone around us how to eat well, move well, and think well. Because the better we can do that, the better we can stay towards our homeostasis, so our bodies function like they're supposed to, and then we can maintain our health, and that's our ultimate goal. And so today we're going to talk more about the think well, the stress aspect of it, some research behind that. And so, Dr. Phillips, you can go ahead and take over.
Awesome. Let me share my screen here with you guys real quick. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the importance of reducing stress and what stress actually does to your body. The study that I'm going to go over with you is one of the landmark studies where they've gone back and they've reviewed all the research that's out there. So the results from it are going to be the results from all the studies put together and what we see. So it's the stress thing is big right now, like Dr. Stevens was saying, and it turns out it's one of the worst things for our immune system. But it's not all bad news as we get into the study, so we'll talk about that here. As always, it's our goal, it's my passion to go through this research. I love doing it. I do it every day to try and find the best research, because there's a lot of stuff out there right now that is considered research. And I actually just got back from vacation where I was talking to a nurse from California, and he kept telling me about the research. And I said, well, which research? And he said, the research that's out there. You wouldn't know about it, because he didn't know what I did at the time. And I said, listen, man, you really can't just go around throwing the word research around because you're a healthcare professional and scaring people with it. That's just wrong. And then our conversation went a little further and got a little more heated about it. But it turns out the word research was just a word for him. And that's why I try my best to not make that happen for you guys, so you get the actual information. So looking at today's study, it was done by Vitetta et al. There was a bunch of people on this one, actually. And its title was Stress and Its Impact on Overall Health and Longevity. And the very first thing, kind of the whole synopsis of the study or the review of all the studies, is that stress contributes significantly to the risk of disease for all of us. So, the Dr. Travis mentioned eat well, move well, think well. For us, it's simple, but it's not always easy, right? So it's about having sufficiency in each of those categories, which is pretty simple when you think about eating well, right? I need to put the right amount of the right nutrients into my body to function well. If I don't, I'm deficient, and I won't reach homeostasis, and I won't reach baseline health and immunity. So I'll be sick at some point. And then you look at move well, and that one makes sense too. If I get enough movement, I'm sufficient. If I'm deficient in it and I don't get enough movement, well, I have an issue. The think well portion is harder because it's hard to eliminate stress. But the key to this is to find a sufficient amount of pleasure and positive thoughts to put in your life. And what they've shown from doing that is that we can actually reduce disease if we get enough positive thoughts in our life. So feeling good and pleasure, even if you're stressed out, still allow for fewer of the ill effects because of the effects of positivity and what positivity does for your life. And not just your life, but your health, homeostasis, baseline health, and immunity. So they've shown in all these studies that if you're going to be stressed. There's going to be things that happen that are out of our control. But if we can control periods where we experience pleasure, we have good feelings, then we're much more likely to reach that sufficiency in the think well category of what we talk about. So some other things that the study went on to say, it says stress is less likely to cause problems if a person has some form of emotional outlet for it. So again, this is, the stress is going to be there. The thought of, did I turn off the coffee pot this morning, is a stressful thought. Maybe just for a second, but it's going to happen, and I don't really have control over it because I'm truly wondering. But if I have an emotional outlet and I go talk to someone at work and just kind of say, I can't remember if I turned that off or not, right? And I just laugh about it, I can actually eliminate the negative effects of the stressful thought. So having that emotional outlet, having someone to talk to, a group of people, a social group, social settings, work can be, I guess work can be both, but hopefully it's more on the side of a social outlet for you. Or even just being by yourself. Some of my biggest stress outlets come from either meditating or taking a long walk by myself, and just get away from it all and just breathing for a little bit to help reduce some of the stress. The placebo effect is pretty interesting. So people are always like, well, I don't know about this stress thing. I can't just think better and feel better. And I get that all the time. Am I supposed to just think myself back from being sick? And I said, well, what do you think of the placebo effect? And they're like, what do you mean? I said, well, if the placebo effect is true, which has been proven to be true in studies, there is a placebo effect, then our mind has to have some control over our health. And this study goes on to say that the placebo effect proves the mind-body connection and had a profound effect in pain, depression, and in Parkinson's disease. So the placebo effect works best in those 3 diseases. It works in many, many others, and that's why they use it in all of the good studies. But those 3 is where you see the biggest effect, which takes me down another road of, well, people will say, well, isn't chiropractic just a placebo effect? And if you look at the studies, it's great because I get to hand them studies. I say, well, we use placebos because we're usually studying against usual medical protocols. And the number 1 medical protocol for low back pain, neck pain, or anything chiropractic's going to deal with is Tylenol or paracetamol or ibuprofen, one of the over-the-counter kind of painkillers. And if you look at that compared to the placebo effect, they're very similar in their effect, and that's why chiropractic has been proven superior, because it outperforms both of them in all of the randomized control studies that are out there. So the placebo effect's a real thing, and it's having a big impact in those areas there. One of the ways that stress affects your immune system is because it interferes with the neurochemical modulation of the immune system. So basically, when you get stressed, you release certain chemicals. You've heard of cortisol, I'm sure, and there's many, many other chemicals that are released. What those chemicals do is they disrupt the flow of nerves headed to certain areas of your body. Most importantly, and the biggest connection is to the immune system. And that's why stress is so detrimental to your immune system. It's one of the nutrients, if you will, that we don't think about enough, but it's having the largest impact on our immune system, especially right now when there is, the news is divisive. Facebook is divisive. Everybody has their idea of what health is, and nobody's willing to say, we just don't know yet on any of these topics. So it creates a lot of stress and anxiety for us, and it's crushing our immune systems right now. So the biggest effect of stress will always be on our immune system. And the more we can eliminate stress, and not even eliminate it, because we're not going to totally, but the more we can put in those positive thoughts, the times where we break away from everything, the social settings where we get pleasure out of, we're going to curve the negative effects of stress. And that's what this study was saying was, don't stress out about the stress. Just try to create as much positivity in your life as you can, and you're going to have a huge impact on your immune system. So that's the study there today. I'm going to talk to Dr. Brian talk to you about which charity we're working with and how that's switched a little bit too.
Yeah. So we are still working with Big Brothers Big Sisters, although we have started to do more of a school drive. With kind of everything that's been going on, we know it's going to be kind of tough for kids to start getting their school supplies. So if you are nearby, fantastic. We've got a big box outside of either of our offices to where people can drop them off. But with the stress there, we know it's there. We know the pain can still be there. Let's find out how we can also continue to help you. So that $39 will still be donated to Big Brothers Big Sisters to see where your baseline is, where you're having any of the issues. We'll do a full exam, our consultation, our x-rays, functional movement screen, and then we'll sit down with you the next day to go over absolutely everything, answer your questions, and let you know where your next steps will take you. You've got both our offices there. Please reach out, give us a call. I know there are people kind of from all over. Even if you've just got the questions and something popped up, reach out to us that way too. Or we'll put our emails back up. I know some of y'all did that last week, and it was fantastic seeing all the questions come in. Dr. Travis, have there been any questions today?
None yet. Does anybody have any questions for us? We love questions.
Oh, mine. Sorry, get there.
No, I don't have a question. I know I would have if I was listening to the doc, and we can elaborate on this, Chris, is let's go over how stress and cortisol decreases your immune system.
As far as the neurochemical modulation that we were talking about, there's a number of ways that it does. So as you get stressed, right, there's an emotional response to that. And there are certain parts of our brains that are responsible for that emotional response. And they release chemicals to talk to other parts of the bodies to stimulate nerve symbols, right? Or nerve signals, if you will. So by our brain talking to our body, when everything's working great and we have the right levels of hormones, then there's no blockage. We're at homeostasis, our immune system's functioning like it should, all of our organs are functioning like they should. And then all of a sudden cortisol comes in. Cortisol has a number of different functions. A lot of people think of it for fat storage, right? That's one of our kind of survival mechanisms when we're stressed out, when we get in that fight or flight sympathetic state. We store fat for later use, right? We don't need it right now. We take it out of the blood. We need sugar in the blood so we can take off and run or fight or whatever we need to do. So when you chronically have high levels of cortisol, you're chronically in that state. Well, you're not thinking, man, I hope I don't get sick while this tiger's chasing me. So you kind of shut your immune system down for a while so you can survive and live. And that's how we evolved. And what's happening right now due to the chronic stress that's in our life is we're just ending up with this super sympathetic state all the time, right? So I mentioned earlier, I don't know if I left the toaster on. That releases the same amount of cortisol for a little bit less time as it used to when a lion would chase us. Now, it was important when the lion was chasing us because we'd shut everything down, blood would rush to our extremities, our pupils would dilate, we'd get better vision, we took off, or we fought, but we got ready for each one. Well, when we're worried about, I have a deadline at work, I have the toasters left on, I'm not sure who's picking up the kids today, I've got this, the list goes on and on and on and on. We stay in that, oh crap, here comes a lion state. And we have a ton of cortisol, we have no immune function, our digestion goes down, and we live in that state. And that's why so many people are getting sick. Our immune systems are just shut off due to the stress that's in our life right now. So that's, is that what you wanted there, Dr. Travis?
Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah. I know sometimes that can create questions, yeah.
All right, let's see. How long do you need to exercise to help with stress?
So the current recommendations out there from all the research are 30 minutes of moderate exercise per day is where you'll see the decrease in those hormones that I was talking about and an increase in immune function. So 30 minutes of moderate exercise is just a brisk walk, right? You can do a brisk walk for usually about 2 miles is 30 minutes. You get out there for 2 miles. And when I say brisk, you should be able to carry on a conversation with someone, but maybe not sing a song because it takes a little more breathing control to do that, right? So you should be a little bit out of breath. You want to raise your heart rate up some, and that'll create the moderate exercise for you. And you can do that in a pool. You can do it on a treadmill, out in the fresh air and nature, wherever you want to do it. But that breathing pattern is kind of my baseline for how I help people understand what moderate means.
And every little bit does help. You're right, Monica. All right. I got a Michelle comment. So this makes complete sense. This is really helpful to understand as education trainers on planes all the time. It explains why sometimes after a few days home, I get sick or I'm completely depleted. And yeah, that's actually right. So
yeah,
spot on.
And I think, guys, one of the easiest things you can do is breathe. Take a few minutes, like literally a minute or two throughout the day. Big breath in, hold it for a second, and then let it out. And then, if you have an Apple Watch, that's really good about it, notifying you when it knows your stress, your heart rate gets up, and it lets you know you need to do a little breathing exercise. And that'll help decrease the stress, decrease your sympathetics, and kind of help everything reset. So that's something super simple you can do throughout the day as well.
Yeah, and I think it's important to remember too, because I was talking to my wife about her Apple Watch, right? And she's like, this breathing thing doesn't help. I'm like, well, it's not going to eliminate all your stress. Like, that's not what it's designed to do. That's not how stress works, right? Like we said, everything that you do that's positive for your stresses is creating a positive effect and eliminating some of the negative stress in your life. So don't look for as Americans, we're always looking for that one magic pill, that one magic button. It's not there. Just remember to eat well, move well, and think well. And you can add up and add up and add up and get healthier and healthier and healthier and try to reach a baseline homeostasis and positive immunity.
Awesome. Any other questions from anybody?
All right. Well, guys, if you need anything, always you can stop in our office, give us a call. We actually do this every Tuesday night, and we have a little kind of a gathering in our office to create that positive community. We have refreshments, healthy snacks, all that kind of stuff. So come in, get some information. If you can't make it into the office, you can watch us on Facebook Live at 6:15 on Texas Chiro Health, which is our page. So look us up, follow us, and we'll give you some more positive information. Thank you guys for joining us.
Yep. And next week, guys, is we're talking about probiotics and how they help with our healthy, happy life. So tune in next week. Most of y'all are, so looking forward to seeing y'all. Invite your friends, send it out to whoever, and we'll go from there.
Awesome. Have a great week, guys.
All right, thanks, guys.